penalty. And here we have Valentin and Sean are going to be in favor of this topic. And here we have yes. It's going to be a game. Each team will have 2 minutes to expose your arguments. And okay, let's start.
Okay, thank you, moderator. I will shortly give my arguments that are listed. The first one is mistakes can happen. Studies have shown that over 185 innocent people have been sentenced to death penalty since 1987 in the US. My second argument is it's a violation of human rights. Sentencing someone to death is a violation of human rights as established by the 1984 Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It doesn't lessen the crime rate. It's unfair and biased. Sometimes it happens that people of color are far more likely to be executed than white people, especially if the victim is white. Also, it's expensive. New York spent over 170 million in 9 years and had no executions. Also, New Jersey spent over 253 million over a 25-year period and also had no executions. And it can also be used as a political tool. Countries like Iran, Sudan, Saudi Arabia all have track records of issuing death sentences to opposition activists or potential threats to those in power. It's also used unfair in other justice systems. The top 3 executing countries in 2012 were China, Iran, and Iraq, are all guilty of issuing death sentence under circumstances that are far from transparent. Thank you.
Now it's your turn. You will have 2 minutes and only expose your arguments. Then you will have time to counter argue. So let's start.
Yeah, well, first of all, one of the primary arguments, according to the research papers, especially the Journal of Applications of Economics, it's the powerful of deterrence against crime. So the proponents argue that the fear of facing the death penalty as a deterrent and discourages criminals for committing heinous acts, thereby protecting the society. Obviously, it's not one of the most important arguments. There's also so many factors such as economic conditions, education, and effective law enforcement, and have also significant impact of the deterrent. Another argument I found it's like the justice and retribution. Indeed, the cash punishment is often seen just as the form of punishment that provides closure and retribution to the victims and their family. So, according to case against the death penalty from the American Civil Liberties Unions, advocates believe that to imposing the ultimate penalty on individuals who commit heinous crimes, the society upholds the principles of justice and ensures that the punishment fits the severity of the crime. Also, there is a dimension as public safety, like the supporters argue that capital punishment ensures public safety by permanently removing the most dangerous criminals from the society. I'm talking about the terrorist attack or murders. We saw in the study I saw it's eliminating the threats from the execution to a murder are repeat often 4%. It's a good percentage, and 5 to 8% for the terrorism. The cost dimension, as you mentioned just before, maintaining prisoners and death and road dealing, it's a lot of cost, so we can delete that. And I will finish with the closure and emotional healing. The family need to put a stop to this situation, and it offers to them the opportunity for them to see the offender held accountable and their action, offering a measure of comfort and peace.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out here today. What is capital punishment? It is done through lethal injections, and the whole execution process only takes 5 minutes. At the moment, capital punishment is legal in 92 countries across the world and in 27 states in the US. I'm aware that in many states in the US, capital punishment may not be as much of a deterrence, but in other countries such as China, Iran, and also South Korea, it is more of a deterrence. To house an inmate for 1 year in the US, this is according to usafacts.org, it is $45,000. So if an inmate is sentenced to a life sentence for 50 years, for example, it is $2,250,000, which is an insane amount. This is so expensive because the prisons cost a lot to run. They have to employ guards, they have to feed all the prisoners 3 times a day, they have to give them water, they have to give them certain facilities. Also, I'm going to argue mainly for the economic benefits. It saves money and space in prisons, and also the money saved can be used to help deter crime in the future. The main cost with keeping the death penalty are all the legal costs. On average, to sentence someone to life is 24 days for the whole legal case, whereas for sentencing someone to the death penalty, it takes an average of 148 days. In particularly in America, legal fees are off the charts compared to European prices, and it's a lot more expensive to have a whole legal trial. So my argument is that to eliminate time wasting on whether someone should receive a life sentence or a death penalty, instead of giving someone a life sentence, they should just be given the death penalty instead. This would save money, for example, with sentencing someone to a life sentence for 50 years. And also American economist Martin Kasten, he states there are many scenarios in which the economic benefits of the death penalty can outweigh the costs.
Okay, now in this round, you are going to talk about refuting the arguments of the other team. The only thing I'm going to ask you for kindness and without offending the other team, so you can start.
Yeah, I have 2 counter arguments. Valentin talked about it prevents like further murdering, further crimes. But studies have shown that there's no clear evidence that death penalty prevents crime better than other punishments like life imprisonment. It also ranks the death penalty as the lowest among the ways to reduce violent crimes. The FBI has found that states with death penalty have the highest murder rate still. And to come back on the expensive that Sean said, is when a death penalty is used, can maybe save money. But like in my examples from the state from New York and the state from New Jersey, New York spent 170 million in 9 years and had no executions. Those expenses are way more than like the only 2 million, 2.5 million what you said for life imprisonment. And also the state of New Jersey spent 253 in over 25 years and also no executions.
Yeah, thank you for your argument. According to the federal department, they contend that allocating the resources towards executions, the government can utilize those savings for other areas such as law enforcement, victim support, or crime prevention. And like I mentioned before, there is some 4% of crime will happen about after to be in jail, and 5 to 8% of act of terrorism. So there's more argument for the cash for the penalty punishment.
I'd like to say, according to Amnesty International, the death penalty cases have a median cost of 1.26 million. So as you said, over 9 years, it costs 170 million. This is for everyone as a whole. Many prisoners who may not receive a life sentence, they are still going to trial, and they're still being held as a prisoner in certain prisons. So this costs a lot of money. So even though they are not going directly to getting the death penalty, it still costs a lot of money to house these prisoners over the whole period. That includes all the prisoners as a whole in the whole state. Whereas keeping one individual prison for 50 years is 2.25 million. If you add like all the prisoners who are there for that amount of time, I think it really increases the amount a lot more than that amount.
Yeah, that could be, but I'm not sure if we have the numbers for the exact if that's exactly worth it to keep the person in imprisonment or not, because these numbers are, I would say, still really high for no executions at all in the whole state. So we can argue maybe if it's worth it. But I would also say that the impact of a death penalty has way more impact on both families, from the person who gets the death penalty and the person and the family of the victim. I would say it has way more impact in those families' life than when a person is sent to life imprisonment. It's way less, when a person is sent to life imprisonment, it's way less a heavy burden for both families. It's less shocking, I would say. So it's, I would say, a better way to work with for both families.
Okay, well, the debate's over, and thank you so much for the debate. I know it's difficult to debate such a difficult topic in 10 minutes, and it's important to recall that this debate is for educate. So, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.